What's up, witches? It's been a while since I've done a pagan book review, so now that I have finally finished some of the books that were on my reading list recently, I wanted to sit down and just film a little review for you. So I have two books that over the last few months I have been slowly making my way through, not because of any lack of interest of reading them, just because sadly I have not had nearly as much time or energy, frankly, to devote to reading as I would like. But I did finally manage to work my way through this first one that I'm going to talk about. The cover.
Really?
So the first book that I read and wanted to review is The Psychic Witch by Auryn. And I'll insert a little picture of the cover over here. But it was one that I definitely just really wanted to take my time with and not rush through or skim through it for the sake of doing a review video, which is part of why I kind of stopped doing them every month like I was there for a while. If I have the time and interest to sit down and finish a book and really feel like I've absorbed it, then I will, but The Psychic Witch is a really good, basic primer for anyone who wants to get into any sort of magical, meditative, or psychic practice, or just honing those types of techniques and abilities, which was definitely right up my alley. I've just always known that I was an empath, and just to some degree I can pick up on vibes from people really easily, and I'm able to just read the air in a room overall. But it also just leads to, I think, a lot of what I think nowadays I've heard termed as being just a highly sensitive person, where you're really easily able to pick up on all of these subtle energies and goings on around you. If I walk into a crowded room, whether I'm even fully aware of it or not, I'm subtly picking up on everyone's body language, the lighting, the sounds, what's going on in the background. Along with that, now that I'm really getting into the witchcraft and magic side of things and kind of wanting to go back and figure out where might that indicate that I have some sort of natural psychic or intuitive abilities, where would those talents lie, and just how can I learn to hone them and have more control over them, as opposed to what I've just been describing up until now as just being fully in survival mode, where my psychic defenses or walls or whatever you want to call them are just very much all or nothing at the moment. I can either have the personal bubble and the psychic barrier all the way up, defense, maximum shields, and nothing's getting through, or I'm totally drained or just feeling vulnerable and I'm completely open to everything going on around me and can be very easily overwhelmed as a result. So this book, I was surprised, considering that I would call myself a beginner with those types of things. A lot of what they describe in the introductory techniques of tuning in and just kind of learning to tweak your receptiveness or your sensitivity, and thinking of it as turning a radio dial or a dimmer switch on a light, as opposed to either flipping a switch on or off. A lot of those introductory techniques that they talk about I found really aligned with what I'd already been kind of intuitively doing personally, which I found very reassuring and encouraging. So it was maybe I haven't just been groping around in the dark this whole time. I have at least some type of basics to which to build from. And what I really liked about the book is that from there, they do a really good in-depth job of really describing in detail, pause for cat fight in the background. They do a really good job of not only describing these techniques and these basic concepts like the parts of the self, the parts of the soul, and what you might call like your higher, your physical and like lower or shadow self, in easy to understand but very like clear terminology that also presents a very straightforward and unbiased view of them, in my opinion. Like, you know, when I was first getting into and interested in things like witchcraft, back in kind of the peak of like the New Age movement, it was all very much Wiccan based, and light work based and those types of things, if you want to slap a label on it, which I'm not fond of, but yeah, a lot of the information out there was primarily based on Wiccan practices, and this book I think does a really good job of telling you and teaching you about these techniques and practices for using, you know, your own energy, willpower, applying it toward meditation, magical workings, without it narrowing it down through any one specific religious practice or lens. They keep the scope pretty generic and broad so that anyone can use and adapt it. So I really liked that, and I highly recommend that if you're interested in magic or psychic abilities or anything like that, to check out that book, because yeah, I found it really useful, and that was the only reason it took me so long. It took me several months to get through it, was that I really just kind of wanted to take it in little bites and really make sure I was digesting and getting to apply and use some of the techniques myself before I moved on into the next steps and the next chapters. So I'm definitely drinking my tea, complete with bonus cat hair and plenty of local raw honey to deal with the sore throat that I've been battling the last 2 days, but I really wanted to sit down and film some videos, damn it. So the next book that I wanted to talk about and review really quick, so this is Celtic Tree Rituals by Sharlyn Hidalgo. And this is another one that I've just been really trying to break off in chunks and work my way through slowly as it applies, because what I really liked about this book is not only is it extremely relevant to my interests as well, being about Celtic tree magic and using the Ogham script, which is in line with my more druidic interests. It goes through the Celtic Wheel of the Year, and each period of the year or calendar is corresponded with an Ogham letter, which then also being the like Celtic or Druidic tree script is also has its corresponding tree or plant, and then it further breaks it down and gives you like themes or concepts, deities to focus on for that time of year, and almost like for practical guidance, like a divinatory aspect. And then it really goes in depth with how to prepare for, acknowledge, meditate on, and celebrate each period of the cycle of the year. So I started with, whenever I picked up the book, I just started with whatever chapter corresponded with the month that I was in, and as each time has passed, I've opened it up to that period laid out in the book and focused on the plant and the ritual that it lays out. And I really found a lot of the rituals and themes still very relevant to my Norse, Northern, Druidic, Neo-Pagan practices as I've gone through the last several months. I found a lot in the chapters that really I felt resonated and was relevant, and also very useful to carry into pagan gatherings that I've attended and rituals that I've participated in. There's a fall equinox ceremony laid out in here for the autumn equinox, and I was able to really take and use a lot of the concepts and themes that they talk about in the teachings and the rituals for a Freyr and Nerthus ritual that I kind of led myself at the last autumn gathering that I attended. I've definitely found this book to be really informative and really just applicable to my own practice, being someone that wants to study Druidic plant magic and Celtic magic and all of those types of things, and has always been a fan and user of the Ogham script along with runes for my own magical sigils and workings. I just really feel like I have a lot to gain and that I can take away from this book and apply to my own personal practices. So if you're Wiccan, if you follow the Celtic Wheel of the Year or just any Wheel of the Year, if you're interested in Druidic magic, Ogham, tree magic, plant magic, green witchcraft, there's a lot that I think you can use and apply in this book. So definitely also highly recommend this one. I haven't even really read all of the chapters in it because I think I started toward the end of summer. It might have been like a birthday gift. I've just been slowly working my way through it chapter by chapter. It really is good and very in-depth. A lot to take away from this one. So overall, I'm really glad that I took my time with these two books because I've definitely found them to personally be very useful for myself. And going into this new year, and we're almost to New Year's Eve and the solar year and beginning of the next solar calendar. So I really want to take this coming year to focus more on my own personal magical shamanic practices. Hope to keep sharing that journey with you all in the coming months. So that being said, if you've stuck around this long, I do have a special announcement that I kind of have been preparing behind the scenes and planning for a while, and something that I really wanted to do when I started this channel. So one thing that I've been really wanting to incorporate into the channel as it's been growing is to start a pagan book club. So if you head over to my little website, and I'll put the link up over here, but I've had it going set up in the background for a while because I didn't want to go full Patreon, because then I think I would have felt the personal pressure to have content and material to justify having like monthly tiers like that. But the nice thing about this Buy Me a Coffee website is that you can just accept one-time donations. So if you want to just throw me $1 or something because you appreciate this specific video or just enjoy what I'm doing here, you can do that. But it does also have the option to add extras and add-ons and membership tiers if you want to. So I'm just kind of playing around with that right now. What I'd like to do is, you don't have to subscribe to a monthly subscription tier if you want to still be a part of the book club and just read the book that I pick every month and discuss it. That might be something that I incorporate as a live stream event where we can all hop in a chat and discuss the book at the end of the month. As part of the feature for the whole extras thing, I thought that's something that could be fun to do and also just helpful for me personally, was to add an option to where if you did want to join the monthly membership, I'll throw up a poll where I'll have choices for several different books that I have on my reading list, my to-do list, and you guys can help me vote to narrow down my options from there and help me pick out just one book every month to focus on and read, and that way we can all read it together, and then not only will I do a review on it, but we can have a live stream and all discuss it together. So yeah, you don't have to pay every month to read the book, but if you want to be able to vote and have some input on what book I read and discuss every month, you can head over there. And I figured that since we're heading into January and the new year, this would be a perfect opportunity for me to officially announce and launch that. I'm gonna pick out some books and I'll throw up a poll, and you guys can head over there if you want to vote on which book we read. Otherwise, I will announce it at the beginning of the month, and we can all read it and learn and talk about it together. And I just thought that would be really fun. So let me know what you think. I hope that you guys are excited. I thought that this would be a good way for me to just kind of dip my toes in the water of having sidebar bonus content and options for support as I grow this little channel over here, because I think I have like 250 subscribers as of filming this, and I never expected to even have that many, and so every view and every subscriber really just does mean so much to me, that there are people out there who want to listen to my inane rambling. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope that you continue to enjoy what I provide over here in my little niche corner of the YouTube interwebs. Until next time, stay classy, pagans.